we start?
I understand where there's two interpretations for that last phrase. Going into the recorded vote or interpreting the recorded vote. And so you're taking that as recording the electronic vote.
Okay. Here we go. Can people take their seats? We're about to get started. Okay, I see people still coming in, so we have a lot to do this weekend. Welcome, delegates. Welcome to the 2019 Biennial Convention of the Democratic Socialists of America. Yes, my name is Chris Ridio. I'm chair of the NPC. And I'll be starting out chairing. We have some other remarkable chairs up here. We'll be switching off. The first thing that I want to do is invite Christina Sepulveda up to do a few logistics. So you have the podium.
Hello, I'm Christina Sepulveda. I'm your operations director. It's so good to see all of you. I have just a few quick logistical announcements. One, we are requesting that everyone use ASL applause. So everyone can demonstrate with me? Get some joy in those hands? Yes, fantastic. In addition to that, you can see on the sides emergency exits in case they need to be used. There's also emergency exits in the back. We also request there are only 3 bathrooms on this floor. If you are able, if you could go down a floor to use the restroom to prioritize access for those who can't, it would be very appreciated. In addition to that, we do have a quiet and moderate room on the Piedmont floor that are accessible on these elevators. The moderate room is Piedmont 7. It will have a soundless stream of the proceedings in here. The quiet room is Piedmont 8. It will be completely quiet with no live stream. In addition to that, we have a chest feeding room on Ainsley 7 and Child Watch on Ainsley 8. I am not the chair. I can wait a little bit. But we do need to have everybody proceeding in as we go. In addition to that, all meals are served in the Augusta Conference Center. You will have your food ticket. It will be stamped. You will eat for breakfast and lunch. I hope you all have a wonderful time.
Thank you, Christina. I'd next like to welcome our guests from Unite Here, Jake Douglas and Samir Syed. If you want to come up and give us a welcome to Atlanta, thank you.
All right. Hello. Hey, everyone. My name is Samir Syed, and I'm one of the organizers for Unite Here, Local 23 here in Atlanta. I'm here with Fred Hood, one of our member and one of the server here at the Western. Fred, you want to introduce yourself?
Good morning. I'm Fred Hood. I'm one of the shop stewards here in one of the 2 union hotels in Atlanta. I've been here about 20 years, and we've been union for 10 years. So we're working with you all. We're glad to have you here, and welcome to Atlanta.
behalf of 300,000 Unite Here workers here in the U.S. and in Canada, I would like to welcome DSA to here in Union Hotels. Our workers, we represent workers working at the hotel, airport, casino, stadiums, university, laundry, transportation. Here in Georgia, we represent workers at Fort Benning, Columbus, Georgia, not far away from here. We also represent workers at Atlanta International Airport, one of the biggest, the busiest, and the richest airport in the world. But there are workers still making $2.50. Yes. As Fred pointed out, also we only represent 2 hotels here in downtown. And again, thank you, DSA, staying and choosing at the Union Hotel. The main thing I would love to thank DSA and those of you who came and walked the picket line with us around the country last year with Marriott workers. The Westin also is one of Marriott hotels. 8,000 workers walked out of the strike lines, and DSA showed up and stood with the workers. Thank you, guys. I also like to thank you, DSA, for opting out from the Green Choice program for this conference. Guests may believe that they are making a choice to help the environment, but no leading environmental studies recommended skipping housekeeping as a part of sustainability program. Exactly. On the contrary, actually, the program saved Marriott a lot of millions and millions of dollars as a labor cost, taking advantage of people like us who are really serious concerned about the environment. Actually, our housekeepers reported the program are causing increase in injury and use of chemicals, so it doesn't look like that program is working very well. DSA refused Green Choice for this conference. Thank you again on behalf of our members and behalf of the hotels for choosing the hotels, the Union Hotels, and coming to Atlanta. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Jake Douglas. I'm a delegate from Denver and an airport worker. Right now, the airlines have never had it so good. Last year alone, Delta, American, and United made $40 billion in profit. But the working people who actually are making this wealth for the CEOs and shareholders aren't sharing in it at all. The vast majority of workers who make the food and transport the beverages that you consume in flight make less than $15 an hour. This is unacceptable. We cannot continue to let CEOs live in unimaginable luxury while working people are, like my coworkers and I, live in dire poverty. And so that's why this year, 20,000 airline catering workers are standing up to demand that one job should be enough. And in 21 airports across the country, airline catering kitchens, vast majority of workers have voted to strike when and if released by the National Mediation Board. And so DSA has already been a very strong ally to my coworkers across the country, and we'd ask for your continued support as we go up against the power of the airlines. And so if you're in or around Dallas, there will be actions on August 13th and 14th at the American Airlines headquarters and at the airport. So find us for more information or visit our website at airportstrikealert.org. And thank you again for staying in a Union Hotel.
I just want to like to remind people, please don't forget to tip your housekeepers, servers, and bellmans. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next order of business is a series of reports. The first one is going to be from our wonderful National Director, Maria Svart. Maria, the floor is yours.
Good morning, DSA. I was going to try to do like Robin Williams' version of that, but it would not have worked. I'm really honored to be here with you this morning. Over 1,000 Democratic Socialists elected from chapters rooted in communities across the country fighting for working class victories. And I'm just in awe looking around the room. I'm in awe of what we have built together. DSA was founded in 1983, but we have much deeper roots in American political life, as many of you know. All the way back to the trade unionist Eugene Victor Debs during the age of the robber barons, and unfortunately that age is coming back. Debs famously told his own followers, "I would not be a Moses to lead you into the promised land, because if I could lead you into it, someone else could lead you out of it." And that spirit of bottom-up organizing still distinguishes us today from national grant-funded organizations that essentially only have offices in Washington, D.C. And the work that you do locally is one of our greatest strengths. It allows us to take our socialist analysis of the world, our understanding that there are fundamentally two classes, the owners and the rest of us, and apply it to local struggles. In just the last 2 months, here's a handful of victories. Austin DSA helped pass an ordinance easing strict rules against homeless people. Middle Tennessee kicked the uniformed police contingent and information table out of Nashville Pride. Cleveland DSA won expanded lead poisoning prevention programs. And New York State DSA, chapters across the state, bridging the urban-rural divide that is used by Andrew Cuomo, the neoliberal Democratic governor of New York, to pass the strongest statewide rent protections ever, improving the lives of millions of people. These wins are literally the tip of the iceberg. And it's one reason I'm looking forward to this weekend, because we can share our stories with each other. We have become an organizing powerhouse, but we need to do more. We gather here in Atlanta, in the South, in a moment of tremendous opportunity, but it's also a moment of danger. We teeter on the edge of the climate abyss, and we teeter on the edge of the authoritarian abyss. The zombie neoliberalism of the Wall Street Democrats created this crisis with their free trade, their austerity budget cuts, and that they are complicit in Trump's shock doctrine against our communities. Children in the border are in jails. Children in Flint have been drinking poisoned water for years. And children all across this country go to bed hungry every night. The 1% rule by dividing us. Every Trump campaign rally is a masterclass in divide and conquer. And if you all watched the debates the last few nights, it was ridiculous. And then we saw the media coverage after. But it doesn't have to be this way. The economy is rigged. The so-called justice system is rigged. And the political system is rigged. But I still have hope, and it's because of you. You are the ones that give me hope. You're the antidote to the hopelessness of living under capitalism. We are part of a left-wing insurgency that is growing across the world. We are fighting back, and we're fighting for keeps. We're not interested in losing. We're not interested in performing our politics. We're here to win, and at a grand scale, we want to transform society. So how are we going to win? We're going to win through your work. You are building solidarity. You're building the vehicle for a shared project of building working-class power. And this project is what will sustain us in the years ahead as we face down eco-fascism. The people in this room share a commitment to winning democratic socialism. And how do I know that we can win? Because I can see you. I can see what you're doing. You are serious about building power at the scale that we need to take on a global enemy. So I ask you this weekend to rise above the inevitable tensions caused by stress, overwork, sleep deprivation, delayed flights, and living under capitalism, and use this opportunity to build relationships with each other, to learn from each other, and to work face-to-face with your comrades to make a place to win. We can do it. If we stand together, we can do it. And we're not the only ones who have learned this lesson. If we look outside this room, we're in a moment of unprecedented mass strikes. The teacher strikes that began in West Virginia and have swept across the country. The Marriott workers, as we heard, the Stop and Shop workers, the Alaska Ferry workers, the Anchor Brewing workers. And it's not just in workplaces. From Puerto Rico to Hawaii to Harlan County, Kentucky, direct action is back on the table. We're teaching people how to fight. People are teaching each other how to fight back. So combined with the amazing success of our own members of Congress, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Rashida Tlaib, and our own dozens of other elected officials at the local level and at the state level, we're standing up to corporate Democrats, and we pack a powerful 1-2 punch. 1 foot in the political system formally, and 1 foot outside, because we know we can't win without the outside. That is a key part of our analysis that no one else brings to the table. So I want to look a little inward now and take a moment to talk about the last couple of years in DSA. First, I want to recognize the work of our staff. I was going to ask them to come up on stage, but that's not possible. They're still running registration and behind the scenes doing everything. But for our entire membership of 55,000 people, we have 18 staff. And that's a ratio of 1 staff member to every 3,000 members. That is astronomically small. And on the last convention, we only had 7 staff, so we've grown significantly. And they worked tirelessly to put on this convention, along with many, many, many national volunteers, concurrent with all of your work locally to prepare for this convention for months and months. In the past 2 years since the last convention, we've doubled in size. And the new staffing positions are in direct response to member feedback about organizing capacity and response times to inquiries. Our new staff include our organizing director, development director. We transitioned our operations director from a part-time to a full-time position, transitioned the YDSA organizer from a part-time to full-time position, 2 additional field organizers, a membership associate to support member requests, data and tech manager, which is very exciting, finance coordinator, because we have a much higher volume of financial tracking to do and support to members, office coordinator, and conferences and events coordinator, who literally started 3 weeks ago. And this all has a direct impact on organizing, especially with our data and technology manager. I hope you've all met Rebecca. We're rolling out 3 organizing tech tools nationwide: Action Network, Spoke for peer-to-peer texting, and VAN. Chapters will be able to use these to digitally engage current and potential membership, increase overall chapter communication, and optimize field operations for campaigns, whether rapid response to raids, corporate or issue campaigns, or electoral campaigns. And we have half of our chapters at this point in various stages of onboarding. This is unique. Other organizations do not invest at this level in their base. And for us, it's a strength, and we know that you're the source of our power. But while we have organizing staff, we're really member-driven, and that's why we invest in tools for organizing and trainings. So in 2008, we organized 14 regional leadership trainings. We started in traditionally underinvested regions of the country, specifically the South and the Midwest, with workshops on core organizing skills. And I want to lift up the work of all of the host chapters that worked with a field organizer to host these trainings and find housing for people and plan out the workshops. Wichita, Kansas, Orlando, Florida, Twin Cities, Minnesota, well, Twin Cities, St. Louis, Missouri, Asheville, North Carolina, Long Beach, California, Houston, Texas, Salt Lake City, Utah, Atlanta, Georgia, Phoenix, Arizona, Columbus, Ohio, Portland, Maine, Sacramento, California, and Tacoma, Washington. That's a huge list of trainings to support your organizing. And then this spring, we organized 9 regional pre-convention conferences to prepare for this convention. And again, I'm going to list the host chapters to lift up the critical work they did. It was even more of a lift because they had a lot more people to host. Los Angeles, California, Knoxville, Tennessee, Albany, New York, Denver, Colorado, Washington, D.C., Boston, Massachusetts, Dallas, Texas, Portland, Oregon this time, and Chicago, Illinois. And, yes, we love Chicago. And we organized the YDSA National Outreach Conference along with these 9 conferences. Now, you all, I think you lived through this, so it's a little bit mundane. But for most organizations, that is completely wild that we had all of these conferences in this time frame. And it's only because of you that it was made possible. And finally, yes, finally, we can't win without resources. We're in a class war. Our enemy has most of the money. But we know that when we pool our resources, we can use economies of scale to do our work at the national and even international level. And we have some great international guests this weekend that I hope you will meet. And that's what it's going to take to win. And for that level, we have a development director who has been building independent capacity at the chapter level. So far, she's had 31 personalized grassroots fundraising consultation calls tailored specifically to each chapter. And it's focused on developing and enhancing local chapter fundraising efforts. And at the national level, we'll talk more about the Solidarity Fund tomorrow, but over 1,000 members have collectively given over $94,000 to DSA's Solidarity Fund. And that, yes, that covers scholarships for delegates, disability accommodations, and childcare and chest feeding accommodations. And of course, we're meeting at a union hotel. And the Solidarity Fund is what enables us to make this a convention for all. And I'm going to look inward again. I'm going to close by asking you to be extra self-aware this weekend. I hope you read my email about keeping it comradely this weekend. It's going to be critical. This is a moment to live our love and respect for each other and to honor the sacrifices that we have all made to be here. And I want to go over some community agreements, and they're intended to guide us through a democratic, productive, and safe convention. These are ground rules intended to help everyone feel comfortable participating, so we have all the perspectives that we need to make a strategy to win. So, be present. Please, please, turn off your phone. Actively listen to speakers. Let others finish their point before responding. Refrain from side conversations, and I know some of you are doing it now, so please don't do it for the rest of the speakers. Be present. I think I said it once. I'm going to say it again. Assume goodwill. Speak from your own experience. Ask clarifying questions and listen. Call in rather than call out. Use COMRADE's correct gender pronouns. If someone says something that makes you uncomfortable, please raise it with them, but assume goodwill. Step up, step back, or move up, move back. Stay on point and be on time, please. Save time by not repeating what somebody else already said. And it's okay to, yes, many. Much applause for that one. It's okay to discuss ideas, but it's not okay to personally attack comrades, so keep it comradely. And finally, probably the most important point is protect each other. We have zero tolerance for harassment. If you're a target of harassment, immediately notify a marshal or staff. And our marshals team has been trained in de-escalation. Threats of violence or interrupting someone, especially a speaker, more than twice may result in immediate expulsion from the meeting. And remember the words of Chicago Teachers Union Karen Lewis, a legendary leader. Does it unite us? Does it build our strength? And does it give us power? Solidarity must be our North Star. It's the only way that we will win, and we will. Thanks to the work of countless members, We are stronger than ever. New members stand on the shoulders of those who have been building for years or months. Members from small towns link arms with members from our country's largest cities and resist the divide and conquer rhetoric fed to us by the far right and Donald Trump. And we struggle together to navigate the toxic structures of oppression that pit us against each other so that we can instead stand united against the class that would discipline us for daring to demand more. I believe that we can win. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Next order of business is a report from our Secretary-Treasurer, Teresa Alt.
So I'm Teresa Alt, the Secretary-Treasurer. This report is about DSA's finances since the last convention in August of 2017. We need to keep a few things in mind. Our funding comes from the dues and contributions of our members. There are no strings attached, no corporate funds, no foundation money, no government subsidies. The estimated additional costs of all the resolutions and constitutional and bylaws changes, and I added it up, all those things before us, total over $8 million. That is double our budget, and that is a very, probably unrealistically ambitious budget. So that is the scope of the prioritizing decisions that are before you. If you have the printed or online financial report before you, you may want to follow along the graphs. In 2017, DSA received over $2 million in income and put out over $1.5 million in expenses for a surplus of nearly $600,000. That income came half from dues, a third from contributions that members gave above their dues, a sixth from conferences and conventions, registrations and stuff like that, and only 3.5% from other sources, which is typically members also, buying swag, whatever. Late last year, the finances for 2017 were audited. Our numbers were found to be accurate. The audited numbers are reflected in the IRS 990, a public document available on request for the real accounting buffs. In 2018, total income was over $2,600,000, definitely higher than the year before. Total expenses were just over $1,600,000, comparable, so expenses comparable to those of 2017. The surplus was, in 2018, a little over $1 million. The income came 68% from dues, 26% from contributions, only 1.5% from YDSA events, and almost 4% from other sources. The 2018 numbers will be audited in late fall of this year, after which we will file our 990. There's a graph in there of 2017, 2018, and the first half of this year, 2019, and it sums up all the overall changes. And I really recommend that, if not now, later, you look at that graph, which is called YTD Year-to-Date Summary. In this half year, 2019, through June 30th, we have seen total income of nearly $1,500,000 and total expenses of nearly $1,800,000. So half a year now is a lot like a whole year 2 years ago. The deficit, though, now we're into deficit spending, just over $300,000. The income sources are now 3/4 dues, over 1/10 contributions, 1/10 conferences and conventions, even in this convention year, and only about 1% other. The expenses went over a third to personnel, a quarter to various overhead, over a third to convention and conferences. That's mostly this convention, and almost 5% to dues sharing. That's new, dues sharing, and it'll grow, and only 0.5% to priority committees. We also need to look at what's in the bank. At the beginning of 2017, we had net assets of about 500,000. Add to that the 2017 surplus of almost 600,000 and the 2018 surplus of over $1 million. So we began this year with assets over $2 million. Best practices for organizations with a stable income source, like our own members, is to keep 3 months of expenses in reserve. So, on the basis of this year's budget, the reserve should be approximately $1,300,000. Yes, we can afford to run a deficit this year, but not to blow it all. For this half year, the actual income of nearly $1.5 million fell well below the budgeted half-year income of over $2 million. The actual expenses were well below the budgeted half-year expenses. Probably the budget was overambitious, but it could still turn into reality. Higher spending is already beginning. Several new staff members began work in July, so you don't see them in the first half of the year. And as for higher income, that depends on the energy that comes out of this convention and the organizing we all do during the rest of the year. There is a promising income trend. The portion of income that comes from dues has risen over these 3 years, or over these 2 years really, from half in 2017 to 3/4 this year. Monthly dues scarcely existed in 2017. In 2018, monthly dues accounted for less than 1/5 of dues income, and this year, income from monthly dues was more than half of all our dues income. So those two trends, a higher percentage of income from dues and a higher percentage of dues being monthly dues, make for more stability. There were more details in the webinar that the Budget and Finance Committee gave last Sunday. There's a recording of it online. The URL is both in the latest dispatch and in Convention Bulletin number 5. We know that we came into this year with more money in the bank than we need for reserves. Hence, a deficit this year is not a problem, provided that we keep spending focused on the staff who will perform the basic jobs that keep the organization going and enable it to bring in more income in the future by enabling all the members and locals to do the great organizing that they've just gotten started on. We don't know how much of a loss this convention will be, probably a loss of several $100,000. We won't know till it's over and we see how contributions to the Solidarity Fund and fundraising at the convention shape up against what we end up paying the convention center and what we end up paying toward travel subsidies. We don't know whether convention resolutions will force us to spend money that we can't bring in. But two things do not change. We are funded by our members, and our members are responsible for making the decisions that determine whether we spend wisely. Thank you. I think we have a little time for Q&A. Okay, I guess I see right there. Can you come up to a mic? So,
Source, North Bay, she, her. Is there a printed or written version of the financial report with the numbers that we can see?
Yes, there is. The only question is whether it is already online or future online. It is online, I am told.
How detailed a report is it? Is it like the full budget, or is it just this?
It goes into more detail than this, and also where I was saying things like, half, it will actually give you a precise number. And there are appendices that will probably put you to sleep.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Matt, he, him. How many members in good standing does DSA have, and how many new members do we have in the last 3 months?
I would actually rather defer to staff for that question for the latest, because I have the financial numbers that are always a little bit behind.
Can people hear me? We actually don't have the exact numbers right now. In May, we had 55,000 members. I don't know off the top of my head the breakdown, between different levels of membership. And Eileen, our database coordinator, has been 100% focused on the convention the last couple months, so we haven't pulled the updates.
Doesn't 55,000 include members in arrears?
I don't remember if I have the numbers in front of me.
Hi, Jason Pittsburgh, he or they. I have a question as to whether or not this could be answered regarding whether or not there's a separate financial arrangement regarding breakfast and lunch for this convention separate from the hotel.
It's part of the package with the hotel. Actually, to drill way down into the details, there's no separate rent, for instance, for this big room. What's being paid for breakfast and lunch is what's covering this room, the cost of this room. That's how they do it here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Moving on, I'm going to now give the NPC report. 2 years ago, former NPC chair Jared Abbott said, "We are in an incredible moment, and I'm so excited to see how we build on the foundation that we've laid." Today, we again gather at an incredible moment in history, in the history of American socialism. In these past 2 years, we have gone from an organization of 25,000 to one of 55,000. About 70 chapters were represented at the 2017 convention. About 140 have delegates here. Our visibility in the media and politics has never been higher. There are 2 members of Congress and many other elected officials who are members of DSA. However, the National Political Committee, the collective leadership of the organization as defined in the Constitution and bylaws, can take little, if any, credit for this. Rather, the priority committees, the chapters, the national staff, led by our director, Maria Svart, are largely responsible for this impressive growth. That is not to say that members of the NPC, 16 people elected in 2017 at the 2017 convention, and YDSA representatives have done nothing. Indeed, many members of the NPC have worked long and hard to build the organization. Many hours have been spent by dedicated NPC members, all volunteers, guiding chapter and OC applications through the chartering process. Others have worked to support the efforts of the priority committees. Some have spent hours and days working to negotiate a union contract for staff and interviewing new staff. Others have devoted time to resolving grievances within the organization. Still others have been working for a year to make this convention possible. And let me mention in particular Natalie Mediri, who has been the chair of the convention planning, has done a terrific job. Okay? But as a body, the NPC has been mired in discord, fraught with tension, and accomplished little in our 2-year term. Too much of the meeting time for the NPC has been taken up with discussion of various charges leveled against its members, with accusations of some members against others, with grievances lodged and complaints and allegations of misconduct. Many of the people elected to the NPC were relatively new to the organization and unaware of how much work was involved. No one expected the 2 years to be largely taken up with crises regarding NPC members or chapters, rather than strategic and political discussions about how to build the organization. This is not good for the NPC, and it's not good for the organization. How can we learn from this experience? To the new NPC, whoever gets elected at this convention, I want to say, do not repeat the mistakes we made. Do not focus on backbiting, on recrimination. Instead, act like the leadership body you are supposed to be. Think about, discuss what will strengthen DSA, what will make us a real force in American politics, what will help us change the world. Think about whether you will actually have the time and are willing to do the work. Recognize as well that while the NPC is the collective leadership of the organization, being elected to the NPC does not make you a DSA leader. Rather, providing direction for the organization, working with those you agree with and those you don't, having some humility about your experience and ideas. Those are the things that will make you a leader. We have a challenge ahead of us and an opportunity. To build a better world, we need a strong national organization. We need DSA members willing to go the extra mile to make that happen. We need DSA members who work for change across our internal differences. The next NPC, working with all the members, can provide the leadership to make democratic socialism a reality. We have a world to win. Thank you. And now I'd like to call up to the podium Ajmal Alami to give the YDSA report.
Hi everyone, my name is Ajmal Alami. I go to school at YDSA at Virginia Tech, he, him, his. And I've had the pleasure on serving on the YDSA's National Coordinating Committee for the past 2 years as its co-chair, and also serving on the NPC for the past 2 years with the past NPC. So as you know, DSA and YDSA were very, a small organization, almost new in essence when many of us joined in 2016. When I joined YDSA, we were only 12 chapters. In over 2 years, we are now at 80 chapters. And not only do these chapters include standard four-year colleges, but many of these chapters, especially the last year, have grown in number in terms of community college chapters, as well as high school chapters, and now we hope to expand onto HBCU colleges and trade schools as well. One of the most exciting things I think about YDSA is not only how big it's grown, but how active and how focused on our work we are, not only adopting the College for All campaign, a detailed rank and file labor strategy with an orientation to organizing campus workers, but also coalescing all of our work together, and especially what we've learned at this past convention is that a lot of us are on the same page and on the same terms of what we believe in strategy, and we've done a really good job at making sure to put our political differences across but unifying at the end of the day, and of course that's something I hope to see at this year's DSA convention as well. Excuse me. We're also, of course, building international ties and have been for the past 2 years. The past 2 YDSA conferences have been extremely successful with inviting international guests and having workshops on a plethora of issues, as well as a big thank you that we also need to throw to DSA and a lot of the NPC and staff for helping us so much with our conferences and making sure things get done. At YDSA, it's hard to do things just as the 6 NCC members, and we couldn't do this without all of you in this room to also help out with hosting local YDSA events with DSA chapters and the support you give to your local YDSAs as well. So thank you all. I think one thing also to kind of go out on a note with is that YDSA for a while has been maybe a little minimized. I would like to see more DSA enthusiasm about YDSA. I would like to see more people contributing to YDSA. YDSA is not just the separate youth section. We are the next DSA organizer. We are DSA organizers. We're going to be entering. We're going to be entering DSA chapters after, we graduate from our respective schools. So I think, and I want to stress this, the importance of making good, healthy relationships with your YDSA chapters and helping them out as much as you can, because we need all the help that we can get. YDSA has been tremendously successful, and I don't think there's anything I can say besides just natural shortcomings. And on top of that, I would like to also introduce, as outgoing co-chair, one of the new incoming co-chairs, Kristen Cervera. We elected the new NCC this past year with Kristen and Amelia as the new co-chairs. I think you want to talk a little bit about the conference? Okay, cool. But yeah, thank you so much for all the help and all the work you've done in DSA and helping YDSA out. And we look forward to obviously continuing our healthy relationship in the future. Thank you all.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Beth Huang. I'm with Boston DSA. Could I get Brian to give the credentials report? Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Brian Laverne, he, him, Houston, and I am with the Credentials Committee. We submitted a report that was sent to all delegates on Tuesday, July 30th. It is 87 pages long, but there is a 2.5-page summary of which I will be reading from now.
I see. Could I get a show of hands or a show of cards? How many people have their voting cards right now? Okay. Yes, that is definitely true. Because the rules have not been adopted yet, we will allow people to raise their hands before we adopt the rules, which is happening right after the reports.
The delegate chairs have a right to attend the meeting. They can't attend
The delegate chairs.
You're on stage. If you're on schedule, their tardiness doesn't qualify as stopping the meeting.
Yeah. Okay. So I recognize that, and also for the folks who are in the room, we do have a quorum, and so we are going to continue with. Okay. So that takes a majority vote, and requires a second. Okay, so all those in favor of waiting.
Repeat the motion.
Okay, so the question is to appeal the ruling of the chair, which is and my ruling is to continue with the agenda as scheduled, because we do have 50% in the room right now. So all those in favor of appealing the ruling of the chair, sorry, okay. Yep, okay, great. So would you mind? Yes, absolutely. Okay, so 2 minutes. There are mics on either side of the room, and if I could see who is timekeeping right now. Who's timekeeping?
I'll keep time.
Okay, great. You have 2 minutes. If you could say your name and your chapter, that would be fantastic.
My name is John Lashley. My pronouns are he and him. My chapter is Silicon Valley DSA. Am I recognized?
Yes.
Okay. The reason I raise the objection, the point of personal privilege affecting the entire assembly, is we're not assembled. All of our delegates have the right to attend the assembly, and their right is presently being infringed because of the dilatory nature. We were not able to give voting cards early this morning. Some people couldn't even register until after breakfast opens. So people were getting ready really late. We've read several reports that are not relating to business, and I think we can give our delegate chairs some time to get the voting cards. You may have a quorum or not, but that's not the basis of the objection. The objection is you're infringing on the right of our delegate chairs to attend the meeting, And if you want to suspend that rule, then you need to suspend it through Robert's rules, which we're under right now. I yield back.
Okay, thank you. Is there a speaker against? Okay. Name, chapter, pronouns.
Hey, comrades. I'm Nick from East Bay, he, him pronouns. I just want to say I'm very glad to be here with all of you. I think this is going to be a very exciting weekend, and I'm happy to build socialism with all of you. I just want to say there's going to be a lot of times throughout the weekend when not all of us are going to be able to be here for one reason or another. So I think we just need to, be okay with that and be willing to move on if we have quorum in the room.
Okay. So,
thanks, comrades.
okay. So I'm going to present some new information that may change. So we could move to the panel right now, which would give delegation chairs time to distribute the voting cards during that plenary and panel. All those in, so first, let's take the appeal to, appeal the ruling of the chair. So all of those in favor of appealing the ruling of the chair, please raise your placards. Takes a majority vote. Okay, all those opposed? It's pretty split from my view. So we'll need to count them. So all those in favor of appealing the... Yes, so we are going to count everyone right now. So we are going to do that, yes. So all those in favor of appealing the ruling of the chair, please raise your placards. And who is counting right now?
All right. We have an electronic voting system, but I haven't had the opportunity yet to give my report and explain it. So why don't y'all let me give my report? Is anybody opposed to that? Opposed. All right, come on up and debate. Take the mic. Hey, point of privilege. Can all delegates use a microphone when doing these things? If you can get near a microphone, it's really unfair to people who can't hear you when you're yelling these things out. Thank you.
Sorry, before we go on, I thank you, the delegate from Silicon Valley. I'm going to withdraw my ruling. Everyone okay with that? Okay, let's do that. And Natalie, would you like to give your report, or should we move on to the panel?
How about I give my report and then we do the panel?
Okay. Great. Come on up. And then please do use the time during the plenary. If you have not received your voting placard yet, do get it from your delegation chair in the next, I don't have my schedule in front of me, about 45 minutes.
Good morning, comrades. I had planned to come up here and ask if you were ready to make some collective decisions, but clearly we're ready. My name is Natalie Mediri, and I am a member of DSA's National Political Committee. I'm also the chair of Convention Planning and the chair of the Resolutions Committee that has been working with hundreds of you all to assemble our agenda for this weekend. I just want to take some time to make some remarks on behalf of our committee, of which Chris Ridio, Teresa Alt, Beth Wong, and Graham Denovan are members. So first of all, we are pleased to announce that at this convention we will have some online voting technology to use in the event that the chair is in doubt about vote totals. And also, members may make motions from the floor for us to use this technology, although we do ask that you do so sparingly and in important situations because it is time cumbersome, and if we are doing it for every item, I think it is very likely that we will not get through our full agenda for this weekend. The process by which we'll be doing this is we will project a URL on the screens that you can go to on your phones or on your laptops. We will also have marshals on the sides of the room who will have iPads available so that you can cast your votes through them if you don't have your own electronic device in the room to do that. And the code that you will use to cast your ballot is the code that's on your physical voting credential. If you happen to be someone who is carrying multiple credentials for your delegation, you will just do so multiple times with those multiple codes that you have and cast, separate votes. Okay. So it sounds like shortly we may be testing out that software, so we'll come to that when we get to it. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is we would like to point out, and I think most people have found them, that we have 2 mics for debate. For all intents and purposes of this weekend, I'd ask that if you are speaking for, you use the mic that's to my right, your left, and speakers against will join over here on the other side. Lastly, I do want to note, right next to me here we have a parliamentarian who will be joining us this weekend, Dennis Conway from the National Association of Parliamentarians. He will be helping our chairs in the event that we get into complicated and tricky questions about Robert's rules. You may see us leaning over to consult with him or check in just to make sure that everything that we're doing is consistent with Robert's rules and our convention standing rules. And with that, that concludes my report from the Resolutions Committee. Those of us who are up here right now from the NPC and staff and the Resolutions Committee, we're going to leave the stage and we're going to allow the speakers for our plenary to come up so that we can use the time that they're giving our opening remarks to make sure that everybody has their voting credentials and that everybody's situated before we continue. And I see a mic speaker at the
point
mic.
of inquiry, Brendan
Sure.
Davison, Kansas City. Some of us have limited data plans, so I was wondering if we could get the Wi-Fi information for the room so we could vote without overextending our data plans.
Absolutely. I will have that projected on the screens.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. So with that, we are going to leave the stage, or actually I think Beth has one last update before we move along.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you to the comrade from Silicon Valley. Okay, so please listen. If you are, so these are the chapters that have not picked up their voting cards yet. So if you hear your chapter listed, do go with Rosa, who's waving their hand, and go downstairs to the registration desk. So if you hear your chapter, please follow Rosa to pick up your delegate voting cards. So those are Central New Jersey, Grand Rapids, Fresno, Miami, Red River Valley, Santa Barbara, South Jersey, Spokane, Tucson, Ventura County, Walla Walla, El Chucho del Norte, Southeast Ohio, Portage County, Billings, Berkshires, Peoria, Bloomington Normal, Quiet Corner, Flagstaff, North Central of West Virginia. So if you just heard your chapter called, follow Rosa, who is going down the left aisle, and go downstairs to the registration desk to get your voting placards, and then we will all be able to vote in the next session. Okay, with that, I will welcome the speakers of the first plenary. And please welcome the speakers of the next plenary. We have a world to win.
All right, speakers, come on down. So each of you can come speak at the mic, but you can sit here, yeah. Oh, wait. Graham, can you get Philippe to come up? You want to sit here? Ready to go? Okay. Okay. I'll introduce you. I'm not going to give you All right. I'm just going to talk quietly and see if people quiet down. Okay, can people hear me? Raise your hand if you can hear me. Okay, nobody in the back can hear me. Let's try again. People in the back, can you hear me? I love it. Okay, great. So we have an amazing panel this morning. I don't even want to take time to introduce them because I want you to hear it in their own voices.
Point of privilege?
I am not a parliamentarian, so.
Before we move on to, sorry, this is like way high. Before we move on to the next discussion, I would like the body to take a minute to do a land acknowledgement. Okay, so my name is Bobby Jo Chavarria. I am she, her, hers from the Inland Empire of California. I am Native American, but I do not know my tribe. I do not know my language. I only know that my family has been in California and Arizona for the 500 years of oppression. The acknowledgement here, I am not native to Atlanta, so I don't know the indigenous folks who have been lost, colonized, but probably are still here also not knowing their history. But I would like to acknowledge our history as a country. So to open, I humbly make a land acknowledgement. I would like to recognize and acknowledge the indigenous people of this land. If anyone is familiar with that, please share with the team, the leadership team, so that we can properly acknowledge them. While a land acknowledgement is not enough, it is an important social justice and decolonial practice that promotes indigenous visibility and a reminder that we are settled indigenous land. Let this land acknowledgement be an opening for all of us to contemplate a way to join in decolonial and indigenous movements for sovereignty and self-determination. Thank you for your time.
So our land acknowledgement belongs to the Muskogee and the Creek from Atlanta, Georgia, or what is present-day Atlanta, Georgia.
Thank you both. Also, a very logistical question. Someone asked if this Wi-Fi number or this Wi-Fi password is correct. It's actually not case sensitive, is what I'm told. All right. So we have today a panel to talk about the world that we have to win and the world that we must win and the role of DSA today. I'd like all of them to introduce themselves in their own words when they give their remarks. And aside from all of our resolution debates that we have coming up this weekend, we felt it was very important to also think outwardly and hear from some of the member leaders in DSA doing work and have them reflect on what does it mean in this moment, in this historical moment, and give their perspectives from a variety of perspectives in DSA. So first, I'm going to actually ask Khalid Kamau to come up because he's from Atlanta.
Good morning, socialists. My name is Khalid. I'm Councilman Khalid. I first want to say that some of you may have read in our local paper, the Atlanta Journal and Constitution, some members of the Democratic Party of Georgia issuing an unwelcome statement to all of you. In the article, they basically, a chair of the party basically said that socialism has no home in the Democratic Party and that we should, in effect, go back to where we came from. Well, my name is Khalid. I was born here in Atlanta, and I am an elected socialist. I'm the first Black Lives Matter organizer elected to public office. In Atlanta's new twin city, South Fulton, Georgia, it's right next to here, 100 square miles, 100,000 people, $100 million budget, and the blackest city in America. So as a Southern Black native socialist, I want to welcome all of you to the city of Atlanta and to the South. You may not know this, but we in the South have been waiting on you to arrive. I want to start out talking 50 years ago, Martin Luther King Jr. warned us about the triple evils of racism, capitalism, and militarism. We are still fighting the military-industrial complex. We're still fighting the capitalist-industrial complex. We're now fighting the prison-industrial complex, especially here in the South. But there is another complex that we need to fight, and that is the electability complex. I want to talk to you about dismantling the electability complex. The electability complex isn't just a system of delegates and superdelegates that allows illegitimate people to steal Democratic primaries and then lose the election to people who stole the presidential election, because karma is real. The electability complex isn't just about the Electoral College, which allows someone to lose 2 million votes and still become president of the United States. And we're being warned now that he might lose 5 million votes and still become president of the United States. The electability complex is more than these things. It is our antiquated two-party system that says you have to choose this person that's supported by capitalists or this person that's supported by some other capitalists. Let me ask you this. When we talk about political directions in this country, what do we talk about? Left and right, right? The left and the right. What are the two other cardinal directions? Up and down. Let me tell you how brilliant the architects of this electability complex are. We should be talking about up and down, the top and the bottom, the 1% and the rest of us. But they have colonized even our language so that we don't talk about up and down. We talk about left and right. And now it's become even more abstract. We talk about red and blue, right? We're segregating ourselves into teams. The electability complex wants us to see this as a sporting event. So we have these debates that start with national anthems and pre-commentaries and post-commentaries, and the whole thing has become a game that we play every 4 years while nothing changes. The people in this room are going to dismantle the electability complex. And let me tell you how. We're going to run candidates, and we're going to win. I've heard a lot of talk lately about these fringe candidates. Lots of people are saying, oh, I wish we could just get all these extra candidates off the stage, all these fringe candidates. Let me tell you something about fringe candidates. In 2016, a fringe candidate from Burlington, Vermont named Bernie Sanders got everyone talking about universal health care and free public college. Now nearly everyone in the Democratic Party is talking about universal health care and free public college. There are a couple of real fringy candidates in this election. Marianne Williamson, Andrew Yang. They've got everyone in the Democratic Party talking about reparations and universal basic income. So we have to understand that us fringe people are future thinkers. Today's fringe is tomorrow's future. So while you're here, I need you to dream your biggest ideas and connect with other people so that we can win the future. A lot of the ideas that we talk about as socialists seem foreign or abstract. People love to go to the extreme of our extreme and say that we want to, like tomorrow, we want to get rid of all property ownership, right? We want to dismantle all corporations, and we do. But we don't have to do that tomorrow. There are 100 steps between here and there. And what I've learned as a Southern organizer is that Southern people are practical people, and that black people are naturally socialists. At my church, I go to Vision Church. You all are welcome to come to the Vision Cathedral at Grant Park. But at my church last week, we had a young lady who was going to Dillard. It's an HBCU, historically black college in Louisiana. And she wasn't going to be able to come in. She wasn't going to be able to come back to school. She had done her freshman year. She got a partial scholarship, but she'd run up bills, and she wasn't going to be able to go back to school until her bills were paid. In that service, we all raised thousands of dollars to pay her bill so that she could go back to school. That's socialism. That's socialism. In the city of South Fulton, which is a city on the south side of Atlanta, and it's like the south side of everywhere in America, right? We have suffered from hundreds of years of not only Jim Crow segregation, but racism and lending and redlining and all of the things that you all know about. We have a lot of blighted property, and we can already see that capitalism is failing us because we try to get developers interested in our area, and they're only interested in, gas stations or dollar stores. They're only interested in jobs that pay less than the minimum wage. By the way, you should know that here in Georgia, the minimum wage is $5.15. And for not only restaurant workers, but also home healthcare workers, people who take care of the sick and the elderly, it's $2.12. I have been pushing the radical idea that if we can't get developers to build what we need in our communities, that we should buy the land and own the land and develop it as a city. That idea is catching on. But on my city council, I need 4 votes. And I am 2 votes away. I am 2 votes away from our city creating community land trusts and owning land for the people. So it's very important that we get involved in electoral politics at the local level. At the local level is where we make change. 3 years ago, last month, I was sitting in City Hall protesting then Mayor Kasim Reed and our police chief. For the dozens of people that have died in Atlanta from the hands of police. Not just the Mike Browns and the Trayvon Martins, but here in Atlanta, the Alexia Christians. And the dozens and dozens, the Ariston Waiters and the Kane Rogers and the dozens of people that have been killed by police. When I became a councilman in the city of South Fulton, I got to pick the police chief. So I went from protesting police chiefs to picking police chiefs. And I wouldn't vote for any police chief that hadn't read the Ferguson report. And then when I got into office, we defunded the police a little bit. We couldn't get rid of them in 1 year. But we defunded the police a little bit in favor of parks programs, because I ran on the radical idea that we should invest in young people before they get into trouble. So it's important to run these local elections and win, because this is where we put the meat on the bones of our ideas. This is where we show that our ideas are not just pie in the sky, but that they can work, that they deliver real results, and that we can scale them up from the local level to the county level to the state level to the national level. And so that is very, very, very important. We can't get lost in arguing ideas without implementing them. So I want to encourage all of you, when you leave here, to get involved in someone's campaign. It helps if they're a socialist. But if they're halfway decent and you get access to a Vote Builder account and you learn how to use Vote Builder, you can take that account and go and get a socialist elected that you believe in. But it's very important for us to understand the mechanics of how these elections work. And it's also very important that we not let people reduce our ideas to these extreme theoretical things and not what socialism is really about. What socialism is really about is that people are more important than profits. That individuals are more important than corporations, and that corporations are not individuals. And we have to make that real, not only in our politics, but in our personal lives. So I am a landowner. I am gentried. I moved home, a quick story about me. I moved home to take care of my mom, who was dying from stage 4 breast cancer and did not get access to the best health care available because she was in a plan, and we all know how that works. And I inherited her house, and that's actually how I got to run in the neighborhood that I grew up in. I live in the house I grew up in. And I make $13,000 a year as a councilman. So a whole other thing that we need to do is start raising the pay of local elected officials, because what we really are public accountants. You ask yourself, where else does someone manage a $100 million budget and get paid $13,000 a year? That's a recipe for corruption. So I rent out my room. I have a roommate, and I rent out my room. And this young lady is always, she just has she has a lot of drama going on. It's one of the reasons I just got here in time today. She has a lot of drama going on. There's always a reason that she can't pay her rent, that she's going to be late on her rent. So capitalism tells me that as a landlord, I need to put her out. Because everything in capitalism, including people, are disposable. And there's always more. You can always get another widget or another iPhone or another tenant. But I had to have a conversation with myself this morning and say, I'm a socialist. And this young lady, who is the daughter of a pimp and a sex worker, both of her parents have been on drugs, is now in a PhD program at Georgia State University. And she's studying black habitus and imposter theory syndrome, and she is so necessary to this academy. There is no other voice like hers in this academy. She was going to take her comps, And she was really worried about it. And I said, everything that you haven't studied, you've already lived. And so you are valuable. So I can't discard her. We're going to have to work out this rent situation. But I can't discard her. We cannot discard each other. Too many of us have been socialist in our theory, but capitalist in our personal interactions with each other. There is a whole cancel culture that is growing in America. We have to cancel that cancel culture, because that is actually a product of capitalism that says that all things, including people, are disposable, and that relationships don't have value if they don't generate products or profit for us. So we've got a bunch of resolutions on the agenda. We've got a bunch of constitutional amendments. But I want you to know, no matter how fierce the arguing is and the debate is here, that none of us are each other's enemy. Our enemy is capitalism. Our enemy is the electability complex. And the only way that we're going to dismantle that is if we stick together and work together. So while we're debating all these resolutions, I want you to also, and I have to say this as a Southern person, anyone that knows Black Lives Matter knows that we pattern ourselves after SNCC, which is the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and we believe in organizing for the long haul. Make sure that at some point in this convention, you are organizing, that you are connecting with DSA members from other chapters. If you're in the South, I should meet you. We should be trading legislation, right? The American Legislative Exchange Council and the fascists, they're trading legislation. That's why we have all these ridiculous bills, right? Illegalizing abortion and access to safe abortions for women, because they all talk to each other. When they get to conferences, they have drinks and they do all of the business of the conference, but then they start talking about ideas and legislation. This is what passed in my district. I was able to get this passed in my state. Why don't you copy and paste this legislation and see if you can get it passed? If there's someone who's won a campaign or who runs winning campaigns like myself, make sure that you meet them. Make sure that if you have a candidate that is running in your community, that they meet those people. We have got to network beyond the ideas. We have got to build a grassroots organization here, and this is where it starts. This convention is where it starts. Do not let that opportunity pass. Lastly, I want to invite you all out to the blackest city in America if you don't have anything to do tonight. One of the ways that I'm showing how socialism works is that we have a monthly block party. We are giving away school supplies because school starts next week, and we're showing Boys in the Hood in honor of John Singleton, so we'll be doing that out tonight. And we're also, one of the things that we're doing is I have learned that truancy in young girls is affected by their access to feminine hygiene products. So in our book bag giveaway in South Fulton tonight, we're going to be giving away feminine hygiene products. These are real things that you can do when you're in office, but we got to be in office. So let's, again, work together, organize with one another, and talk about how we dismantle this electability complex. Welcome to Atlanta. Thank you all so much for coming. South Fulton forever.
Point of inquiry. Point of inquiry. When and where is the block party?
I'm sorry, you all can go to khalidcares.com. That's KHALID cares.com/summer. All of the events are there. All of the information is there. But it's at Creel Park. That's 2775 Creel Road, 30349. It is one exit south of the airport. It's a $5 ride on, it's a $10 ride on Lyft, right? A $5 ride on Uber, but you're going to tip your driver that extra $5. And again, you can find that at khalidcares.com/summer.
Hi. So my name is Erika Lopez Alvarez. I am from DSA LA. Big shout out. Thank you for coming down. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to all the important work that you do here today. Black lives do matter. Brown lives do matter. This is who I serve and this is who I answer to. I answer to all of my community. And I'm here talking to you today on behalf of teachers. I'm here talking to you today about our strike, about our national strike movement, about everything that we hold true and valuable. So I'm going to divert your attention to this really important statistic here to the right of me. The UTLA strike was an outcry of 30,000 educators for public education. So yes, thank you. So those 30,000 were a part of a larger movement, and we know that strikes are on the rise, and you can take a look at this chart here. Strikes are on the rise from 1986, where it was all across different sectors, and then educators just took it in 2018. We increased that strike visibility. We're at 485,200 people striking. Whoa. Yes, whoa. So this is the biggest thing we've seen in decades. Why? Because people really do want to see other people standing up for themselves. We feel that as a community. Educators in the strike were supported by their communities because we were focusing on bargaining for the common good and making strides in social justice reform. We ended oppressive practices like random searches and excessive testing. That's why teachers have been winning all across the country. We demand the best for our communities collectively, and we win together. In LA, our union leadership planned our strike for 4 years, and they received a 97% authorization for strike. That was huge. That's right. Everybody was on the strike. UTLA and LAUSD entered into negotiations, but we really started with the grassroots movements that DSA members architected. It was wearing red t-shirts on Tuesdays. It was having the difficult conversations. It was going to our union and all of their meetings and seeing what they needed from us so that they could be successful. In red states, rank and file teachers had to organize their strikes themselves using these same grassroots techniques, I'll call them. And they won. Those victories were only possible because people with a vision like ours were on the ground floor with those unions, organizing with fellow educators. In Los Angeles, the movement and its community outreach was shaped by workers by demanding resources like a charter school moratorium, full-time nurses, full-time psychiatric counselors, an end to random searches, an end to excessive standardized testing, and yes, a livable wage for our teachers. The strike lasted 6 days in the rain. This LA girl was not prepared. So we were joined by students, parents, shop workers. They were greeted with our red UTLA t-shirts. We were all holding up picket signs. We were chanting. And on one occasion, we were out in front of LAUSD headquarters singing with Tom Morello and the UTLA teacher band, "Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me." It was the best moment ever. And we won. This teacher will strike without hesitation, and let me tell you why. History has taught us that oppressive governments silence public education first. They are the temples to democracy. We know that private and for-profit entities have come in and they've underfunded our schools. It works like this. One-size-fits-all racist and exclusionary testing led to, surprise, surprise, low test scores in the most starved areas of our district, which also predominantly served children of color. Then charter organizations came in as a result of billionaire think tanks owned by the Waltons, the Broads, and the Gates. They said that they could run schools better and with half the money. They moved in. Real estate investors created private management groups that paid themselves salaries from renting school spaces to the district. And all they had to do was make sure that they were performing at the same level as our local public schools were. That's it. And they were renewed by our school board because those are the policies, and we're not engaging with ed policy. If ed policy was answering to the people that it's supposed to serve, this would not be the case. With new charter schools sucking enrollment and thus funding from public schools, it's no wonder why public schools have trouble meeting student needs. So again, why will I go on strike? It's simple. My students deserve a seat at the table. This is the noble work of laborers across America. We believe in a democratic socialist future because we all deserve a seat at the table. We deserve to shape our government and its policies to distribute resources fairly and sustainably. Was it scary to strike? Absolutely. But in the words of AOC, we did it anyway. We also had strike veterans on the line from our 1989 strike, reassuring us that it would be over if we all stood together. We would get our demands. My union red is inherited from 2 generations of union members. My grandfather was an immigrant, and he worked in a bread factory. He committed his union handbook to memory and translated it into Spanish. My father then took me to Teamster meetings and later was fired for trying to unionize one of his other workplaces. To this day, he has no regrets. And then there's me, and when I was called to go on strike, my father immediately offered to watch my daughter, and my mother always had a warm breakfast burrito ready for me to go on strike. It was fabulous. The first day was hell. I was pumped, and like I said, not ready for the rain. So sick and tired, I got up and the next day, and my husband had laid out these thermals and old shirts and bags to cover my feet because we were all sold out of rain boots in Los Angeles. I wondered how long the strike would last. I wondered if it was selfish of me to deny my family the pay I was losing. I wondered if I would continue to get ill. And then ancestral knowledge saved me. My blood saved me. So my grandfather hadn't talked to me for years, and he called me that morning, the second morning of the strike, and he said in muddled English, "Don't give in ever. You fight alongside your union and your community. You're the right in this wrong, and you can do this." I slipped on my portable radio, my Doc Martens, and I handled it. It is what it was. It was amazing. We need to continue to build on the education we took away from the strike. During the strike, teachers were leading tasks, writing scripts, asking people not to cross the picket line, and why. We strategically would walk in circles to discourage crossing entrance to schools, which was a little illegal, but we did it anyway. We also coordinated with each other to film and report people that were actually threatening us to run us over because they wanted to come in and collect the pay that scabs got paid. We coordinated lunches, we huddled, and we chanted. Our community stepped up as well. Parents understood what the strike was for and brought us breakfast. I can't count the number of tacos, coffee, and pupusas that sustained our fight. On day 2, we were empowered by tacos courtesy of DSA, $10,500 worth. We found refuge in our local businesses. They gave us free coffee. We were able to, as a community, unify and demystify the strike. This teacher is never afraid to go on strike. I know that my community will back me as I back them. This is how we win. We have to deal with the fear of including our communities in organizing conversations. After the strike, we were unified in a way at the workplace that had never happened before. There were only people that joined us on the strike and then people that didn't. All teachers know that they have to be activists. It's not enough to just clock in and clock out of work. Since the strike, our focus has also been on the Schools and Communities First initiative for California on the ballot in 2020. It's the tax the rich legislation, which DSA will be throwing ourselves into alongside the union. It'll translate into $11 billion for our children. Yes, absolutely. Last but not least, we are working to get the only Democratic Socialist candidate with a comprehensive education plan, Bernie Sanders, into office. Last week, Bernie Sanders came and talked to our union. He's the only one that has done so. He presented his Thurgood Marshall Plan for saving public education. He also committed to a charter school moratorium. We have teachers organizing also with Labor for Bernie in its goal to secure the union endorsement for Bernie. California will go Bernie. I want to leave you with these takeaways. The teacher strike wave of 2018 and 2019 demystified and intrigued the activist imagination in all our communities. It made teachers themselves activists. The project of the democratization of schooling is a community effort, and we need you all on deck. DSA has the people power needed to fuel this revolution. We have the ability to democratize from a variety of perspectives. I like to think of all of you as educators. You all know what we need to do. Join the revolution on the front lines as a teacher, as a parent, as a community supporter, as a member of another union, or like my dad, willing to set up a union at a workplace. Go out and do what LA teachers did. Huelga, withhold your valuable labor. Thank you.
Good morning, comrades. I'm Thea Riofrancos, pronouns she, her, Providence DSA, and I'm also on the steering committee of the Eco-Socialist Working Group. I want to thank everyone for this opportunity to speak a bit about eco-socialism and also for all the hard work of all the convention organizers to plan this historic gathering. I'm going to be real with you. We have a decade to embark on a just transition to climate safety. According to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, we need to cut global carbon emissions in at least by half by 2030 to stave off a climate crisis that threatens the very basis of human society. Simultaneously, we are facing mass species extinction, ecosystem collapse, and soil exhaustion. Addressing these calamities is an enormous task. Ultimately, we need to confront their root cause, capitalism, a system that values profit and growth above human and planetary well-being. But where do we begin? To start with, we should demand massive public investment in renewable energy, social housing, mass transit, and ecosystem restoration. We need forceful regulation and militant direct action to put the fossil fuel industry out of business. We must act in solidarity with those most vulnerable to climate change, communities who are also on the front lines of the struggle for a just transition. In other words, we need a radical Green New Deal now. Every day on Fox News, Republicans call this socialism. We, the largest socialist organization in the United States, should own this label. The path to a livable climate and the path to democratic socialism are one and the same. Along that path, of course, we will encounter many powerful enemies. Enemy number one is the fossil fuel industry. They have a vested interest in destroying the planet. They have knowingly committed crimes against humanity. Their assets should be devalued and expropriated, and their executives prosecuted. We must immediately phase out oil, gas, and coal while ensuring economic security and dignity for workers and the communities that they support. We also need to target investor-owned utilities. Their profit model is an impediment to decarbonizing our energy system. Both of these corporate juggernauts have the firm support of yet another powerful enemy, the political establishment. The Trump administration is rolling back what few regulations we have to control the fracking boom and protect clean air and water. But conservatives are doing much more than just deregulating. Reactionary forces around the globe are laying the conditions for eco-apartheid, in which working class and racialized people suffer the worst consequences of climate chaos and the wealthy band together to protect themselves. ICE and Border Patrol is right-wing climate policy, as is Fortress Europe. But it's not just conservatives. When the Democratic establishment dismisses the Green New Deal as a, quote, green dream, this is also climate denial, and it's very dangerous. With all of these enemies, we have to be clear-headed about the tasks ahead. If we evaluate the political terrain, we should also see tremendous opportunities. We are, of course, the largest U.S. socialist organization in almost 100 years. We have political allies, insurgent and inspiring elected officials like Comrade Khalid at all levels of public office in this country. Indeed, in just a few years, we have transformed the horizons of political possibility. We must use this power and increase it by steadfastly confronting the most pressing crisis of our century. The Green New Deal, advocated for by our allied politicians in Congress, addresses the severity of the crisis. And it recognizes the deep links between rampant inequality and climate change. This connection is based on the facts. A very small global elite is responsible for the worst emissions, and the world's most vulnerable are suffering the worst effects of climate chaos. We can only build a climate movement of the 99% if climate policies improve the material well-being of the working class. At its most radical, the Green New Deal offers the hope of a society that puts people and the planet before corporate profit. For this reason, the Green New Deal is a terrain of class conflict. The DSA occupies a unique position on this terrain. We're on the left flank of a broad coalition fighting fossil capital and their political allies. In addition to our numbers and capacity, we bring an anti-capitalist and anti-oppression analysis to this fight. With this analysis, the Eco-Socialist Working Group has spent the past 2 years building consensus around the urgency of confronting the climate crisis. This working group now has over 1,100 members. There are 45 chapters with eco-socialist working groups, and over 60 chapters, national working groups, and caucuses endorsed our vision for a radical Green New Deal. This vision is inspiring DSA campaigns across the country. A dozen chapters are currently fighting for publicly owned, democratically controlled utilities to replace the private companies that profit off of fossil fuel energy. From Providence to New York City, from Chicago to Boston to Northern California, our efforts are radically changing the conversation around energy as a public good. But the fight for climate safety is broader than our energy systems. In 2019 and beyond, all politics is climate politics. We need to address the climate crisis and integrate eco-socialism into all of the work that we do. First, climate is a labor issue. We need a just transition for workers in environmentally harmful industries. Moreover, rising temperatures make outdoor work, whether in agriculture, construction, or delivering mail, increasingly dangerous. They lead to public health crises, burdening overexploited healthcare workers. But we also need to think about green jobs more broadly. All workers that care for our communities and the planet should be part of our eco-socialist vision. Striking teachers and striking nurses are fighting for a low-carbon world. Climate justice is also migrant justice. Many of the migrants brutally repressed by our border and immigration regime are fleeing Central America in part due to droughts that threaten agriculture and food security. And climate justice is indigenous justice and racial justice. Marginalized communities bear the brunt of toxic contamination, with power plants and pipelines disproportionately located in communities of color and on indigenous lands. The climate crisis is also connected to housing and transit justice. To build a low-carbon world, we need to decommodify both and create affordable and dense neighborhoods with free mass transit for all. Lastly, we can't address climate chaos without confronting imperialism and militarism. The U.S. military is one of the worst carbon polluters on the planet, and U.S. imperialism has sought control of fossil fuels and exacerbated resource conflict around the world. Climate change is the thread that links so many struggles for a better world. The society we live in is violent, unequal, and destroying the planet. The society we want is egalitarian, emancipatory, and supported by healthy ecosystems and a safe climate. A radical Green New Deal is a stepping stone to building democratic socialism in our lifetimes. To conclude, I want to bring us back to the work we have ahead of us this weekend. We are commencing the largest socialist gathering in the United States since the peak of the Socialist Party in the early 20th century. The decisions we make will shape our organizational direction and the fate of the U.S. left more broadly. Meanwhile, we have 11 years to make radical changes in our economy to avert the worst of the climate crisis. This is a world historic opportunity to build the political power we need to put our society on the path to climate safety and democratic socialism. We must seize it. Thank you, and have a wonderful convention.
Could you all give one more round of ASL applause for our fantastic speakers? We are so lucky to have you in the socialist movement. Okay, I'm just going to give some brief updates on housekeeping. So first of all, there's no one else currently waiting in line to pick up their delegation's voting credentials. There are several chapters that still have not picked up their cards, and that is Flagstaff, Billings, El Chuco del Norte, Walla Walla, Santa Barbara, Ventura County, Red River Valley, and Fresno. That's 8 chapters. But as far as I understand, they could coast right on up right now and get them. And as far as I understand, I believe that means that we've hit our 50% plus 1 threshold for quorum. We are running a bit over schedule, but there are some things we could do easily to readjust and get back on track. So we were originally scheduled for a 30-minute break from 11 o'clock to 11:30. We're going to cut that to a 10-minute break to stretch your legs and use the restroom if you need. But please try and stay close. Because as of now, we're planning to reconvene at 11:05, and we will get back to business on the business that we left off with, which is a credentials report, and then adoption of the convention rules, and then we'll move forward with priority committee reports from there. So again, we will reconvene at 11:05. Thank you. We're trying.
Thank you.
You can, okay.